Hey, hey! Happy Friday, guys, and welcome back to The Designated Designer, a podcast by designers for designers and clients alike. Today, we are going to be talking about a very uncomfortable topic: learning to be okay with leaving things half done. Yes, you heard that correctly. I said it. Today, we're talking about leaving things half done and trying to learn how to be okay with that, because this has been a really difficult thing for me to overcome my first year in business. So let's get into it. If you're anything like me, the thought of leaving a task unfinished would make your skin crawl. Like full body, anxiety inducing, I'll just stay up all night and finish it type of energy. Because for the longest time, I was hardwired to believe that if I didn't finish something all in one go, it was never going to get done. But here's the wildest thing that I've learned since starting my business. Not everything is meant to be finished all at once, and that's okay. So today I wanted to talk about the unexpected beauty of learning to be okay with leaving things half done, and why, as a business owner, this might be one of the most powerful mindset shifts that you can make, especially in your early business years. Let's talk a little bit about the all or nothing trap. I was always known for being an all or nothing kind of person. Anybody that knows me will tell you the same thing. It's either I'm going full steam ahead or I am not doing it at all. I couldn't stand the idea of leaving something unfinished because it felt like it was a reflection of me failing somehow, or not being good enough, or not working hard enough, when that's really not the case at all. But this is what I told myself in my head my entire life. And because I had this mindset, I would try to tackle everything in one go. Maybe you've done this at some point too. Staring down a big project and thinking, if I don't finish everything right now, then what's the point in even trying? Well, let me tell you where that kind of thinking got me. Procrastination, because if I couldn't finish it perfectly in one go, I wouldn't even start. I'd get caught in the perfection trap. Burnout. When I finally did convince myself to start something, I'd push myself to finish it at all costs, even if it meant sacrificing sleep, meals, or ignoring my personal life. Missed opportunities. I'd turn down opportunities or let good ideas sit on the back burner because I had this invisible rule in my head that said, if you can't give this 100% right now, then don't even bother trying. Any of this sound familiar? I want to talk a little bit about why starting your own business, especially, forces you to change this habit. Starting my business forced me to unlearn that all or nothing mentality. And let me tell you, this was no small task. When you're in business for yourself, you quickly realize that things don't always go according to plan. There are projects that can take weeks, months, or even years to fully come together. You can't always dive in headfirst and finish everything in one go. You can't give 100% to every single task every single day. Even if you want to, it's just unrealistic. For example, think about when we're juggling multiple clients at once. You might be working on a branding project for one, a website redesign for the other, creating content for social media for yet another. How do you spread yourself thin between all of those and give each one your undivided attention? The answer is you can't, and that's okay. There are seasons when some ideas need to be put on pause, when a client's project isn't ready for the next phase, or when you're in a creative rut and you just need time to recharge. You have to learn to walk away and give yourself permission to come back when you're ready. And here's the real kicker. Stepping away doesn't mean you failed. It means you're giving yourself the space to come back stronger. At first, this realization was a little scary for me. First of all, I hate change, and second of all, I have a really hard time convincing myself I'm doing the right thing. So the combination of those two just doesn't allow for me to make a mental shift easily. But then I started to realize this isn't failure. Leaving something unfinished doesn't mean that I failed at the task. It's just momentum. Even if something isn't finished today, moving it forward little by little is still progress. And I actually taped a little poster to my wall to remind myself of this, and it's one day at a time. Now, let's talk about the power of micro momentum. Micro momentum is the key to unlocking a new way of working. It's all about taking small steps and trusting that these tiny incremental actions are still pushing the project forward. For example, I used to think that if I couldn't finish a project from start to finish in one go, then it wasn't even worth doing because I would never get it done. But what I started to notice is that even just making some progress, writing one paragraph, designing one logo concept, or drafting one small email was still progress. It's kind of like the turtle and the rabbit analogy, right? Slow and steady wins the race. Here's the thing. There's a certain magic in just getting started. If you let go of the need to finish the race immediately and your eyes are always bigger than your stomach, try to remember that you can start with small steps. And those small steps, they really do add up. The projects I had zero time for before, well, they start moving. The overwhelming to-do list that would drown me every single time that I looked at it, suddenly it didn't feel like such an insurmountable mountain. I was picking off one small task at a time, and seeing that one green check mark light up at a time, it felt like I was actually moving forward. The pressure to always go all in, it started to ease up, and I realized it wasn't about pushing harder. It was about being smarter and more intentional with my energy. It's wild how much of a difference it makes to release the need for immediate completion. In fact, I'll tell you this. Putting something off indefinitely means it may never get done. But working on something little by little, that's the positive momentum that you need in your life. So, I had to do the task I never thought I was going to have to force myself to do, and it was to learn to sit with the unfinished. Now, if you're also someone who struggles with this, if the thought of leaving something half done makes you super uncomfortable, I challenge you to sit with it. Let yourself feel that discomfort, and then remind yourself of a few things that might help you through. Business is a journey, not a race. It's not a race to the finish line every single day that you're going to run your business. Not everything is urgent, and sometimes projects can wait. Progress is progress, no matter how small. Don't discredit the little wins. Every step forward is exactly that, a step forward. Done is better than perfect. And sometimes half done is still better than not at all. I've had to teach myself that it's okay to leave things unfinished, and that small progress is still progress. It doesn't mean I'm slacking. It just means that I'm being strategic about how I use my energy and how I prioritize. Now, let me leave you guys with this. Imagine you're on a long road trip. You've still got half a tank of gas. Instead of stopping for gas when you're getting near empty, you're stopping for gas every time you hit a half tank. At first, this feels like the reasonable and responsible decision, ensuring that you never run low. But eventually, it starts feeling a little bit silly. You're spending more time stopping for gas than actually driving. Now, apply that to your workload. If you force yourself to complete every single task in one solid go, never allowing yourself to leave something half done, you're essentially pulling over for gas when you don't need to. You're burning time and energy on refilling when you can just keep driving, trusting that you'll fuel up when it actually matters. The same way you wouldn't obsess over refueling too soon, you don't need to force every task to completion in one sitting. Some things can be unfinished for a little while, and that's okay, because you're still traveling and you're still moving forward. So, how do we find the balance between making progress without obsessing over finishing everything in one go? Well, it starts with giving yourself permission to be imperfect. You've got to get comfortable with the idea that not everything is going to be done today, and that's okay. Maybe some projects need a little bit more time, or a little bit more space, or just a little bit more thinking. But by making that space for these unfinished moments, you'll find that you're able to show up more effectively for the things that matter. And the more you embrace this half-done mentality, the more momentum you continue to build. Here's my Friday challenge to you this week. Leave something half done. On purpose. Seriously, start a project, walk away, and see what happens when you allow yourself that space, and the shift in your overall personality when you do allow yourself to come back to that task. Because for me, I was always afraid if I left something half done, I would never come back. But the first time that I actually showed up and came back to that project and told myself that this is possible, I felt a whole other level of empowerment that I never would have had before. And this might feel weird at first, but over time, the more you practice it, it'll become one of the best habits that you can build as a business owner, or even just as a person. It's a practice of letting go, trusting the process, and allowing yourself to keep moving forward without the pressure of having to be perfect. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If this episode hit home, please let me know, DM me, tag me, let's talk about it. And as always, keep creating, keep evolving, and I will catch you guys in the next one.